Welcome to the Road of Stars podcast. We meet amazing creative leaders from all over the world. I'm your host, Mwenya Kawesha. I work in artificial intelligence and arts. On this show, we speak to brilliant creators, entrepreneurs, and intrapreneurs who are transforming creative industries. They share how they began and what they do to succeed in a changing world. Everyone who wants to pursue a creative life and career should have that opportunity. Together, we can make the world more creative. Natalie Adele Yesufu Edwards is a multi-award-winning producer, entrepreneur, and founder of Transition Stage Company. Specializing in film and factual entertainment, Transition Stage Company boasts an event and conference department and hosts the prestigious screenwriting competition gala franchise, Enter.Stage.Write. Natalie is a pioneer and expert in storytelling, producing narratives for stage, film, and broadcast mediums. Passionate about sharing diverse stories, she advocates for increased film and broadcast representation in her hometown region of Birmingham, England. Natalie is a highly respected creative business leader and has produced over 50 plays and 4 films. Natalie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so great to have you today. Okay, so let's get going. You're a CEO of a production company. What early experiences led you to where you are now?
Well, the reason why I set up my own company is because there just wasn't many opportunities for me starting out 15 years ago. And I felt that there's just something undignified about begging gatekeepers or asking gatekeepers or just trying to get opportunities in spaces that are not there for you. So I just set up my own company, and that's what I did. I went to New York, came back and set up my own company.
Amazing. So when you went to school, were there any clubs or anything or anyone who motivated you?
I don't mean like that. So this is going back, I'm showing my age now. This is probably like 20 years ago. But when I first started, I studied all the arts, A-levels, media, film, great grades, A's, B's. And then there was a time I thought, do I want to go drama school afterwards? And drama school was so difficult to get into. And at the time, it was very elitist. You had to speak a certain way, you had to look a certain way. And I just thought, I'm just not going to be an actor. And I went in a different direction. So I became a personal trainer, I did a bit of modelling, and I always wanted to be an actor. And then when I hit 26, 27, I just thought, what am I doing? So I saved all my money and I went to America and studied because I just thought there'd be more opportunities for me there. So I went to New York Film Academy, studied over there, just became an actress, but realised that I was pretty much a producer.
Wow.
I'm a person that makes things happen. I raise money. I'm really good at talking to people and encouraging people and galvanising people. So I did a producer's course. And when I finished that course, I stayed in New York, did lots of events in New York for international students, helped facilitate film production, did lots of screenings and events, made quite a bit of money actually living in Manhattan. And then I came back to Europe. Moved back to Europe. And then I realised, going back to Europe, I definitely wanted to be an actor again. So I did a master's in acting. And then when I finished my master at Birmingham Royal Conservatoire, which is a very good school, it's probably number 2 in the UK, Birmingham Royal Conservatoire, I thought, gosh, this is it. It's really easy. So I got signed up straight away by an agent pretty quickly. And living in Birmingham, I realised there wasn't much production. I was very surprised about this, the fact that there wasn't much production in Birmingham, and it's the UK, and it's the second city of the UK. And I thought, instead of acting, why don't I create an opportunity for creatives on the whole to get their work seen? Because at that time, there was a lot about diversity and trying to get all production in Birmingham and trying to get Channel 4 to Birmingham. This was 2017. And I was like, why does everyone talk about diversity? I think people are looking at it the wrong way. I think we need to look at storytelling and who's writing the stories. If we find good stories from a variety of different people from different backgrounds, we start there. That's where we can have true variety and diversity, and it can just be not forced. I left Birmingham Drama School. I still did a bit of acting, did TV shows, and I went to NatWest and I pitched my business idea at NatWest and said, I want to create a production company, but first I want to create a screenwriting gala, which is a bit like X Factor for writers, where people send me their scripts, I create the platform, and from those scripts, I create a big event where I bring executives from London or wherever, come down to Birmingham, and we use Birmingham as a conduit, and we showcase these scripts. And NatWest Bank said, that sounds like a great idea. Let's get you into the incubator hub. And from there, I started this franchise, this gala event, and it's grown. And then that's where my company was born, in Birmingham.
Wow, that's amazing. So much in that story. So just to go back to a little bit of what you said, it sounds like New York was a real star character in your origins. I've lived in New York for a bit and I love it there. But I guess what was it about that environment that helped you break through when you were getting so much resistance?
Yeah, because that is a very long story. But going to New York, it did something to me because people in New York are so encouraging. And I think the difference between the USA and the UK, in the USA, they like people who are ambitious. They don't care where you're from, but if you're ambitious and you want to make things happen and you're happy and you're positive, they champion that. Whereas in the UK, they want you to be humble, stay in your lane. There's a hierarchy. And in America, there isn't that hierarchy. And I think when I was in the UK, I didn't really feel confident to flourish. I didn't feel confident to go to drama school. Even though I had great grades at school, I felt that my regional accent would penalise me. I felt the syntax of my African and Caribbean grandparents that was in the way I speak would affect how I would get into these drama schools. And when I went to America, my personality, this girl from the outskirts of Birmingham, this little city from the outskirts of Birmingham, went to New York and I was popular and I was encouraged. And I thought, okay, then I can do anything. Absolutely anything. Going to New York and living in Manhattan and being around all those people who studied there, studying film, studying the arts, and we just had so much get up and go, gave me that drive and that vitality to stay in the creative industries that I just feel like people don't really have in the UK.
And then when you came back to the UK, did you feel that having been in New York made you stand out more? Or
yeah, definitely gave me confidence. It gave me a lot of confidence, just be myself. Just be myself and just enjoy being yourself and just going forward, and you can do anything you want to do. And I felt like that attitude in America, that get up and go, became quite infectious when I came to the UK. People would say, you're quite passionate, you're outgoing. But I think even though I didn't stay in America, and sometimes I regret not staying in America, I feel that was the best education for me. Not so much the education. It was a very great school. I did the film courses there, acting. It was a great school, New York Film Academy. I was around great filmmakers, creators who are doing really good things in Hollywood now. Issa Rae went to my school as well.
Wow, gosh.
But when you're around people who have that ambition, it just makes you think that you can do anything. And I thought that I could just bring that to the UK and see. I felt like a big fish in a small pond in Birmingham because no one had my drive, So I think that's why, considering I came back to UK, 2017, I didn't really start getting going in my business. I've only been in the industry in the UK from 2017 and I've accelerated. I can now speak to a commissioner and say, listen, I've got this writer. Are you interested in seeing that? I can speak to the gatekeepers and say, please come down to Birmingham. I know it's in Birmingham, come down, you're going to find some great talent. And I think it's because of that drive and their ambition of living in the USA. And also the fact that I really wanted to create a platform that served other people and validated what I'm doing and my vision, that there is talent out there. And all these different stories need to be told, because what people don't understand is that the stories that get told on TV dictate the biases of how we see people in different cultures. Humans actually see things through storytelling. We're tribal. And when people talk about variety and diversity, I think we're looking the wrong way. I think we should just look at stories. Stories create empathy in human beings. So, I know I'm a drop in the ocean, a penny in the ocean. And I think that's probably why Enter.Stage.Write has been so successful and it's grown so much, is because I've just said, let's just look at the great storytellers, no matter what they are. And with the Enter.Stage.Write franchise gala, we have Enter.Stage.Write, which is for anyone in the UK. Anyone can apply with their 10-minute script, whether it's a radio play, film. We just adapt it to the stage. And then we have Amplified, which is for Black and Asian minority comedy writers. And we just did that production.
And they're both part of the Transition Stage Company.
Yeah. So I'll explain a bit about Transition Stage Company, because what I do is really unique and I just give a lot of information there. So Transition Stage Company is a production company. But
that you're the founder and CEO.
Yeah, I'm the founder and CEO, which I do. One of my business partners, Addy Gordon. But when you're making film production or producing TV or anything for broadcast, sometimes development takes a long time.
And what's development in this
Development
context?
is creating, how can I explain this? So finessing the script to whatever broadcast or whatever platform you're putting it to. So for instance, Channel 4, BBC, totally different. You're not going to have the same kind of TV show on there because the remit's different. And also as well, where you put your film, is it an audience for the USA? Is it audience for the UK? So when you're developing a documentary, a film or TV show, you have to finesse it. And sometimes that takes time and sometimes it's expensive. Sometimes you don't get paid when you're developing projects. You
don't get paid
you
when
don't get paid unless a broadcast sees it and says, okay, then we will invest in the development of it. But sometimes these broadcasters want you to develop it and then send them the finished product. So Transition Stage Company, we do make films. We just made a film with the cast of Game of Thrones in, which was a script that won Enter.Stage.Write in 2020. And we had Darcy Martin, a prolific director from BBC. She just directed Riches. She was a director. And we had Mark Addy from Game of Thrones as the main character and Bethany Antonia, who is a Baela of House of Dragon. So it was really good, actually. That's what's in post-production.
And Natalie, just how do you get access to the BBC, Channel 4, like the biggest studios, and also Game of Thrones? I think it was pretty much the biggest TV show, or most successful.
The actors. So let me go back a bit. I'll just finish this bit. Yeah, Transition Stage Company. So we do films and then we do the events as well. So we just did a conference called StoryTown Ideas Your Own, which was a business conference for creators, whether it's animation, book IP, screenwriting, filmmaking. And we had 900 people there. We had BFI there, BBC there. And it's literally about how you, like me, you as a creative or someone like me, how to build your own platforms, build your IP. Say if you've got animation in the book, where can you put it? Can you put it in a game? Could you put it in animation? If you just did that. And then we also have a development department where we work with writers to finesse their stories. They hire us and we just help them work with their script. So that's what we do in Transition Stage Company events, film and factory entertainment. And we have a development department where we help writers. So that's Transition Stage Company, right? However, the question you just asked was, how do I have access to all these organisations? And that comes back to personal branding and building a profile, right? And it comes back from being very passionate and also that feeling of not being good enough or not being accepted where, I don't know, somewhere inside me where I feel like I need to prove myself. You know, I feel like a lot of women have that thing, you know, they need to prove themselves and there's that tax where you have to be better than everyone else. You have to have black excellence, you know. But anyway, but when I first started in NatWest, because it's such a niche thing, I used to really put myself out there and talk about why it's important for storytelling, why it's important to bring storytelling and why it's important to bring people together and why it's so important for the people that have power in broadcast, in TV, to really find those voices, to really change the world and create empathy and just have a different look on how different societies work and how different communities are. So, for instance, in Amplify, we did a play from Hong Kong. We had some writers and it was amazing. And a lot of people that watched Amplified, which was part of Enter.Stage.Write franchise that we just had in January, which was part of Storytown Conference. Amplified is like another Enter.Stage.Write screenwriting gala. We had plays from East Asia, Jamaican plays, and a lot of that audience were from different places. And they were like, oh, wow, that was really funny. I really enjoyed that. I never knew. There was one play called Guinness Punch that actually won the competition. And my white friend, Kevin, who's from, English guy, went, I never knew what Guinness Punch was. I really want to try it now.
What is Guinness Punch?
Guinness Punch is a Jamaican drink which is made from Guinness and eggs. And it was a really funny comedy about this mother making this vegan-style Guinness Punch. And everyone was like, it was disgusting. But it was just a really funny script. And it was really good, authentic writing. And it was just about a family. And it was in 10 minutes. And the judges were just wowed by it. And sometimes with writing, it's just writing simple. It's just about writing about a snapshot of someone's life and how families are different from different families. That's all you need to see. So we did that. And from those, amplified those stories, a lot of the commissioners were interested in those stories.
Wow. That's amazing. So what were they interested in? It sounds like, obviously, it really engaged the audience as a fresh new story. Was there anything else that you thought?
I do think broadcasters in the UK are looking for diverse stories. They are looking for those diverse stories.
And what do we mean by diverse?
Sorry, in diverse, I mean like stories from people from different backgrounds. I don't even like using the word diverse anymore, because what does it mean? I mean variety. So I mean people from different socioeconomic backgrounds from up north, people who are probably Jamaican or East Asian descent. So stories that are really, obviously in my case, it's British people. People say there's not enough diversity in different stories of people from different backgrounds being showcased. But actually, I would say that the broadcasters now, in this, probably not so much 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I first started out, they're really keen to find those voices. And it's about authenticity and how you can tell a story concisely in 10 minutes in my competition. If you have a writer who can concisely tell a story about different characters and touch the audience, that's what makes a really good writer.
That's so interesting. It's so hard to do, but people are doing it.
Yeah, it's really difficult to do. And this is why I do have a 10-minute, the Enter.Stage.Write and Amplified script writing competitions are 10 minutes long, because you've got to be able to write concisely, and humans see story through structure as well. And it's quite hard to explain how to teach that, but if you can write concisely and tell your stories and drive your story and your question or what you're trying to sell, your thesis through the characters, and you could do it seamlessly without us really noticing until afterwards. You know, when you watch something or you watch a play, watch a film, there's so much to unpack afterwards, isn't there? You know,
there is.
And the best scripts that win are the ones where people are talking about the layers. And if you can do that, if you can write a nice story in a neat bow, you've got it.
Absolutely. And Natalie, we mentioned that you've done plays, you've done films, obviously engaging with a lot of writers on TV. So when you're operating across these different worlds, how do you decide, okay, this jumps out to me as a TV show, this jumps out to me as a film, this jumps out to me as a play, this jumps out to me maybe as something that should be fictionalized and turned into a book, or whatever it is? How do you make that judgment when these stories come your way?
Well, the thing is, there's my judgment, and then it's the people who have the power's judgment, and then above them it's the people with the money. So, you know, sometimes what I think is not right, you know. And also, I've never made a TV show as such. And every year it changes in the sense what's wanted. So let's say a few years ago, all these broadcast stations wanted dystopia. No one wants dystopia no more, because we are living in a dystopian society already. So no more dystopian ideas, whatever. Yeah. But your question, okay, then how do I choose? With every script or film or anything that comes from my platform or any writer I work with, I look at it and I go, I like this, it's got legs. We can make this into a film, which is not going to be that expensive, that I can make and I can find the money to make. And then also I ask my friends who are executives or producers or people that actually work in broadcast industry, because my company, we kind of like serve broadcast industry. We don't really work in the broadcast industry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I work, and it's good actually, because the thing is, you know, when there's strikes, it doesn't affect me. But anyway, going back. And what I do, I say, listen, has this got legs? So for instance, someone sent me a really amazing book. Really great writer. She writes at Cambridge. She studies at Cambridge. She's a great writer. She sent me this book about the lives of these women who live in Kensington and Chelsea. And it was very Emily in Paris, Sex and the City. And it was just, I thought it was really fun. But that's probably because I live in Kensington and I see these women around. And when I sent it to a broadcaster, commission assistant, she said it was fun, but it didn't have enough drama. So what I think is very different to what they want. Another example as well, someone sent me a book which was based on the Vikings, which was a really good book. Usually when you see Viking stories, it's usually the men forefront, but it was through a woman. But I sent that out and I said it's really good, but, you know, it's already been done before. So what I think, it's not a matter of what I think, it's a matter of what the people with power think. And all I can do is just facilitate those connections. So even though we have some really good dystopian scripts and they're really good, but that's just not the flavour at the moment. What I like, yes, I like it, but it doesn't matter what I like. It's about who has the power, if they like it and if they will commission it, or if I can raise the money to get it made.
That's so interesting. And I suppose, so if it's not dystopian, is it people are looking for more authentic stories?
No, it's not that. I'm probably not explaining it properly, because the thing is, sometimes when you're talking about what you do for a living, sometimes you forget that the people that are listening are not in my industry. So, okay, then, so for instance, I mean genre-led, so dystopian sci-fi, I think there's been a lot of that already.
Yeah.
People are more interested at the moment now in state of the nation, political stuff, crime, thriller, dramas, and also films and TV shows that can have returnable series. if you work in broadcasting in the UK, you want something that can be done, not cheaply, because it's never ever cheaply, but something that can be recycled. It can come back and come back. I'm not saying like Casualty or whatever. That's something that could come back. It's a never-ending story. It's
let's have a moment for Casualty, which is iconic. I mean,
and Doctors. They've been, you know, again, I think this industry is changing so much. No one knows where the chips are going to fall. We've had a massive downturn in production in the broadcast industry, and everyone's finding their way. And actually, even I don't know what's going to happen. You know, you've got AI coming in, and also a lot of broadcast TV. I don't know, the money is not there. I thought actually when COVID happened and everyone was looking at streaming platforms and there's all this great TV, I thought that I was really hopeful. But after COVID now, I feel like things have regressed in production, and our industry in the UK is kind of like most of our money is from co-productions in America or companies. That's where we get a lot of our money from. So I'm quite worried actually, because I'm worried about what British stories are going to be told, because most of our money and our productions are based on working with companies in America. Maybe we might do a partnership with Disney or Hulu or Netflix, and they have the power really.
Is it because of the budgets that they're bringing fundamentally?
The budgets.
And also the audience?
The budgets, yes, of course, the budgets. But I just think, I don't know what's going on, but there's a big downturn in money in production. No one's watching commercials no more on TV, aren't they, right? So that's where they make the money in a lot of these broadcast stations. They make the money from people watching commercials, but people are on their phone now. So that's the issue. But again, let me go back. You said genre. So what do I mean by genre? So dystopian, that's sci-fi, and then you've got romantic TV shows, or you've got crime TV shows, you've got family dramas. So that's what I mean about different genres and what people are looking for in sense of TV or films or scripts.
Yeah, really, really cool. And then, Natalie, you really own your own platform, and you have for a while now. You're still very much in your youth. What is it like for you to be a founder, CEO? The highs, the lows? There's
a lot of responsibility. You know, if something goes wrong, you have to fix it. So in January just gone, we did a 4-day festival conference. In those 4 days, StoryTown, Ideas Your Own, there was 2 theatre productions on the evenings, which were Enter.Stage.Write and Amplified. And in the daytime, there was a conference around film, TV, broadcast, gaming and VR, and then another day which was around book IP from TV and publishing. And I planned that perfectly. But then one of my directors, she just dropped out last minute before pre-prep of the theatre productions. So from that, I had to really take responsibility and try and find a director. All the cards were doing tumbling down. I didn't sleep. I didn't do it. We got through. It was a success. But the thing is, you have to solve every problem. It's on you. On the outside, it doesn't matter if something went wrong. You have to deliver. You have to deliver. You have to make sure everyone has a good time, and you want to make sure people come back. There's so much responsibility. When you work at independent scene, you have to do 2 things. You have to be always out there on podcasts, self-branding, talking about what you do as a person. And then there's the other part of yourself, which is also the branding of the company as well. My company has 2 different things. So there's probably 3 sets of branding there. And also what's really good is the fact that even though there's lots of lows, and the lows are really doing a lot of the stuff. In the beginning, I did most of it myself. And people think you're superhuman, but actually the older you get, you're like, wow, I can't do this. I've got a business partner now, which is really good. I've always had the PA. But the fact that I own something, I built something from scratch, and it's my platform. There's just something about that that's just so dignified. Instead of just waiting around for people to give you an opportunity and just begging. And I realise actually in the UK, which is different to the America, sometimes I think because it's quite a classist hierarchy kind of country, it's always been like that. That's just the way it is. You have royalty. I think in the UK, you have to do a lot of proving yourself, or you have to have a bit of a profile before they accept you. And I think because I got out there in 2017, did my own thing, won loads of awards, got respect, just put myself out there, people noticed me instead of me actually trying to get the attention of certain people. And I think sometimes what I would say, my advice to people who build your own platforms and just, get out there and do your own things. I think Dreaming While Black, that BAFTA-winning TV show, A Journey, I think it was discovered on YouTube. And I feel like a lot of things in the UK, especially things from people who are diverse, usually they're discovered because they've already been doing their own thing. They're like, okay, then you're not going to give me a chance. I'm just going to get out there and just do it anyway. And I think those are the people in the UK that actually get picked up or get noticed, and you have these broadcasters that want to work with you because you've kind of like proven yourself. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think that's how it is in the UK.
That's so interesting. And there are other examples like Issa Rae, Quinta Brunson.
Issa Rae.
Yeah.
They're in America. Obviously,
yeah.
It's in America, but I think obviously that's one thing in America. I remember when she started that actually. But in the UK, for sure, you have to just get out there and start doing your own stuff. Like, who was that other guy? Rap Man. He did something on YouTube and it made him really famous. And then he made his film and it made millions, independent film. And then now he's got his new TV show, Supercell. He's just a great example of someone who just got out there and done it. And there's so much platforms now, you know. It's a slog to build your own platform, but there's so much ways. If you really want to make it happen, there's so many ways to get things out there. And that's why I created StoryTown Ideas Your Own, because sometimes I see a lot of creatives with so much IP, so many ideas. And like, if you understand where you can put these ideas, how you can protect them, you will know how to create a career for yourself in this competitive industry. You don't have to go the straight route and just go straight working in broadcast. You can find a way to put your ideas in places and monetize them.
Natalie, you've said so much. This is just a treasure trove of so much. Just to dig in even further, on the personal branding, I'm obsessed with you on Instagram. You just give me life on that platform. So you, to me, are very much a master at this. So there's something about what you do where there's like an authenticity where I see your personality, because here speaking to you now, if I was speaking to you in a coffee shop or on a walk, you're just always the same.
Yeah.
And you look fantastic always, if you don't mind me saying. Is this something that you're just naturally good at, or is this something that you worked at creating, how you develop a personal brand?
I think when you have a company, you have a mission statement, right? You have to have a mission statement for yourself, right? You need to think, okay, then what are you about? Me, I'm about sharing stories and bringing people together. Okay, sharing stories, bringing people together, creating great events that are elegant and classy. Everything I try and do, I make sure it's slick and elegant, and I want my social media and how I'm seen to represent that. I call myself the story broker. So I facilitate stories, I platform people, because I know how to develop a story through films and screens. I can do it for business as well. So sometimes people hire me as a consultant to actually look at their business. And I'm going, like, for instance, an investment fund in Birmingham, and the owner says, Natalie, all the people at my company are just nerds. They don't know how to they're nerds. They don't know how to articulate their business in layman terms. Can you come and help them? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm not really a business that's made like millions and millions of pounds. He goes, no, I want you to help these people storytell. So from doing that, and also as well, storytelling yourself, for instance, for someone to go to America because there wasn't any opportunities in the UK, and someone that wanted that validation, it's a story to tell yourself. So it's all connected. Mm-hmm. You know, so even when I teach at university, I lecture at universities, I have my own master classes on how to create stories for yourself and get the life that you want. And I think that's how I've branded myself. I am the story broker. I know how to get what you want from life, and I know how to build something consistently, step by step. So that's my branding. And you know what it is as well with branding and social media. When you have no money, right, and when you're not a big name or no one knows you, that is the best way to get yourself out there. I think people say social media is the ills of society, but the thing is, when you have no money, when you first start out, when no one knows you, this is the best way. If you just keep posting your passions and talking about what you do, consistently, brick by brick, you create a story. Everything you do, you're creating a story. And that's how you do it with your branding. That's why my social media, everyone go, you're really good at social media. I am very particular about creating a story so people buy into what I do. And it's for free. So I would always advise people to have their branding or who they are and their company, but also think about who you are as a person, as in the CEO. Because, you know, look at Apple, you know, there's more followers for the CEO of Tom. What's his name? Tom, the CEO of Apple.
Tim Cook.
Tim Cook, yeah. He's got more followers than Apple because people are interested in people now.
Yeah, yeah.
No one's interested. Like, if you look at all these brands on clothing brands now, you know, you can't just create a clothing brand and people are interested in you. Who are you? What do you do? That's why we have an influencer market. I always say to people, it's really important to build yourself as a brand if you want to have impact and influence. And again, when you're starting out in this industry and there's not much, it's very difficult to get into the competitive industry. You've got to use every tool you have, and I teach this when I do lectures at university, and this is something I emphasise at my conference, Storytown Ideas Your Own.
Gosh, so much there. Who would you say your audiences are? Is it the creators and also commissioners?
It depends what part of my company you're looking at. Okay, so in the development departments where I get loads of people that work in finance. So like, I've always wanted to be a writer or creative.
Wow.
Can you just help me finesse this script? I'm like, yes, you can hire me. I can coach you to do your script. If it's any good and I know someone's looking for something in TV or film, I'll pass it on. No guarantees, but if you hire me, I can do that. So you have people who are writers or people who want to get into writing. That's one audience: writers, storytellers, filmmakers. And then another audience is for Enter.Stage.Write, the events. So Enter.Stage.Write and Amplified, we have multiple audiences. So we have the public that come in. We get 300 people coming in for a night out. And then you have the writers who submit. Yeah. And then you have the executives or the people in the industry are like, you know what, I want to find the next big thing, and they come down. And then also I have people who work in business industry, they want to sponsor my events. I have multiple audiences for the Enter.Stage.Write and Amplified. And then for Storytown Conference, because it's mainly creatives, but it's all different aspects of creatives. It's book writers, filmmakers, people that work in VR. So I've really covered a spectrum with the Storytown Conference.
Amazing. And then how did you find such a breadth of different people?
Another thing I'm really good at, again, that goes to my branding, I'm really good at building audiences. And this goes back to my time in New York. So when I was living in New York, and what gave me so much confidence, when I went to New York Film Academy, there was no concept of student nights, right? And obviously in America, you have frat parties. But when you go to New York Film Academy and these art schools, a lot of these students are all from Europe, very wealthy students from Europe and all wealthy students from Latin America. They don't like frat parties. They like going to events like house music. It's very European student nights and nights out, very different to American nights. I'm not saying throwing shade in America, it's a different market. And I saw a big gap in the market when I was at New York Film Academy and when I was in the Manhattan. I said there was nothing there for all the international filmmaking students. So I created an event which was based on Andy Warhol, The Factory. And I used to do these amazing events where I had to get all the school students from NYU, Columbia, School of Visual Arts, filmmaking students, acting students, filmmaking students. So imagine all these students from international universities who have literally got 2 years to prove themselves and network. We're like, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to this event because that means I can possibly find people who might employ me or give me the visa. So I used to have these massive networking events. I used to make loads of money. I used to do screenings. And then because I used to do screenings and all these events, and on the side, I used to do high-end events in Manhattan, like Cipriani's, One Oak. I used to mix those audiences together. So I used to make a lot of money from all these events. So you'd have people from finance who'd want to hang around with art students and people like that. And then you'd have all these international, ambitious students from all the best schools in Manhattan going to my events, which was like based on Andy Warhol, The Factory. So I used to make quite a lot of money from doing that, and also it's good for me because it built my profile. But again, reason why I'm telling you this, because I became an expert in building audiences, right? And what people don't realise when you work in the indie scene, and also with film, independent film or even theatre, you have to build your audiences. So if I'm doing a conference or if I'm doing Enter.Stage.Write Amplified, I start building my audiences 18 months before I start the event. And that means getting a database, finding the creative organisations, finding universities, finding out companies and say, would you like a night out? And just becoming friends with them. And also what you do, you pinpoint the leaders of those organisations who have the most power, who have the most influence. And I say, would you like to be an ambassador for Enter.Stage.Write? We're trying to bring, and then they bring all their friends. And then that's how you do it. You build audiences for whatever you're trying to do. So that's how I get so many people to come to my events in Birmingham, and I galvanise people. And that's from branding as well. It's all interconnected.
Gosh, that's a masterclass in how you do so many things. Yeah, super impressive. It feels as well like you also like building community and connections, and people are getting value from what you'd created.
But the thing is the community. But that's the thing, you know, when you can't find a way to get into the industry, you have to carve the job you want. You have to carve the things you need. When you have your own community and your own audience, you can serve them, and you have your own ecosystem. So even in broadcast, where film's gone a bit weird at the moment, there's not much money out there, or broadcast, you had all these strikes. You know, I've got my own company, I've got my own audience, I can service them and they can come back to me. I had a conversation with someone the other day and said, I've never really directly worked I work with people in broadcast, I've acted in broadcast, but I've never actually produced anything in broadcast yet or worked. And he went, you're very lucky that you have something that you've built that serves you. And he said, if anything goes crazy or, you know, another strike, you're not going to get stung by it because you have your own community. And I think that's where, when people say there's not many opportunities or for people in northern or socio-economic places, if you just add this element of personal branding, know what you want, build audiences, think of what you want to offer, you can create something. You can create a platform. You can create your own IP. Enter.Stage.Write, it is a franchise. I can create books. I can make books from Enter.Stage.Write. I can do anything. I can do events. I can, you know, hopefully if it builds bigger, I can actually, you know, like TED Talks, I can let someone else do an event of Enter.Stage.Write.
That's brilliant. Apart from New York, the other star of the show is Birmingham.
Oh, yes.
In the West Midlands. So I grew up in Birmingham, really love it there. So tell us about Birmingham's role in this, why it was important for you to be there, your connection to it.
Of course, I'm a Brummie. I went to drama school there as well. And I just thought it'd be a great space to start in Birmingham. And I thought if I can make something in Birmingham work after New York, I can make anywhere work because it's Birmingham. And Birmingham's having a really tough time at the moment. They've lost all their funding. And I just think, you know, the council's gone bankrupt. I just think Birmingham, I don't know why, even though it's a second city, they just have a really lot of problems. And I just thought, why don't I see if I can create something here? And my company's not just solely based in Birmingham. I do use Birmingham as a conduit because it's easy and I build the audience there. Before the pandemic, we had plans to bring what I do to Belfast and London, but it displayed in Birmingham after the pandemic. But the reason why I wanted to do Birmingham, because I feel like Birmingham is really overlooked. It's one of the cities in the UK that's overlooked because, look at it this way, with BBC TV licence, we pay like 35% of that TV licence.
So as in people in Birmingham?
In Birmingham.
Wow.
So imagine it's like, I think, obviously London pay 40%, but we pay 30%. And then through the other regions, it's the rest. I could be wrong, but I think it might be slightly more. But anyway, but we don't get much made in Birmingham, considering we are literally paying most of that TV licence fee and hardly there's like 1% spend in Birmingham.
1% spend of television production?
Television production. I could be wrong, but it's a very low number. And what people don't realise, when you have production in your city, it does wonders for your economy and also for your tourism as well. So we are offering all this value from our TV licence fees in the creative industries, and we're just not getting anything back from it. And at the time when I first started, Birmingham was trying to get Channel 4 to come there, but it didn't come. It went to Leeds. And then obviously the lack of production in Birmingham. Yes, we have Peaky Blinders, but Peaky Blinders is not shot in Birmingham because Birmingham was bombed in the war, so it doesn't look period enough. But that is a big sticking point for me in the fact that there's this snobbery towards Birmingham and also other northern cities, even though we offer a lot of value. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's because it's one of the most diverse cities. I don't know. I don't know why there is no production. And there's a lot of marching, there's a lot of protests in Birmingham because of it. And that's probably one of the reasons, because I always feel when I started out acting and producing or filmmaking in the UK, I always felt like I didn't belong and I wasn't accepted. And I think it kind of like struck a chord with me, the fact that Birmingham has these problems. And I thought, you know what, let's have some pride and try and see if I can create something in Birmingham. And if I can try and persuade those executives to find talent in Birmingham. So that's my connection, really. And I love a challenge as well. And I think that also helped me build my profile as well. The fact that I was doing all these wonderful things in the West Midlands, trying to bring devolution, more production there, and also champion people from all different backgrounds in the creative industry.
It's such a powerful point. I really love London. But yeah, you expressed it so well that all of the country brings value and is funding these things. So yeah, it is really critical that they're represented. And yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. Go on.
No, but in the sense that, yes, representation, yes, but also in the fact that our economy in the Midlands is missing out on so much money because we're not getting production there. And that's money that really can serve our community and help our city.
Yeah, gosh, 100%. I mean, I saw because I obviously Bridgerton's such a massive show. What is it? You can do like walking tours of where all the things were.
Downtown Abbey. And also, if you think about it, look at New York, right? What makes New York really interesting? All the TV shows that were there, like Taxi, or the Martin Scorsese TV shows, things like that really make people interested in going to cities like Casablanca. People want to go because of that famous film. I think people don't really understand the power of art, storytelling and tourism, how deep it goes and why it's important to have these things there. It trickles down, if that makes sense, into the economy.
100%. And why is it that you think Birmingham was overlooked for other places?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It could be infrastructure problems. I don't know. This is so systemic, but I don't know. And I don't really know the ins and outs. But still, at the end of the day, if we're paying that much money, if our region's paying that much money, we should really have the benefit of more production here. And we've just had doctors cancelled as well, which was a lifeline. I cut my teeth as a TV actor in Doctors.
Can you just, for anyone who's not seen Doctors?
So Doctors is a show about doctors, and it's set in one precinct. It's set in the clinical hospital, and it's been in Birmingham for 20 years. And it's produced by the wonderful Peter Lloyd, who was one of the judges on Enter.Stage.Write. And from that TV show, they did it. I don't think it cost that much money, but it looked amazing. It had so many people watching, but it created so much jobs. And now that's gone. I don't know what's been made in Birmingham. Like, nothing has been made in Birmingham. So you've got this black hole of no jobs. So you've got all these creatives who invested in their career in Birmingham, and there's nowhere to go, so they have to go to London or where else. And I just think it's a shame, really, that they got rid of a TV show like that.
Gosh, we need the new Doctors or whatever.
Whatever they can replace it, really. But I just think that TV show created a lot of jobs. Mm-hmm. And it created a lot of jobs in Birmingham, and now that's not there. And there's actually nothing that's being constantly made in Birmingham. So where are those people going to go?
Yeah, it's a really powerful point. And Natalie, one thing, I love how you're not afraid of money and not afraid to talk about money. So when it comes to monetizing, you built these communities, you made a lot of money in New York, you've got your events in the UK, you've got all sorts of other business interests. Have you gone on a journey with monetizing your creative efforts, or what advice would you give to people who feel, whether it's nervous or shy about?
So when I started out as a producer, when I started out as an actor, I wasn't really bothered about, I made good money. I knew how to make money, but I didn't know how to manage it because I've never had those skills. And it's something that I learned being a CEO on the way, managing your money, making sure everything is right for your accountant. I would say to anyone who's monetizing, because the thing is, when you're creative or you're a producer, it's very difficult to do it all. Because when you're creating, you're trying to get things done. And then there's the administration side of business. And that took me a long while to get my head around, made a lot of mistakes, had a terrible accountant. So if I was anyone who's out there, anyone who's in business or even a creative, do an accountancy course. You don't have to do the accountancy course, but do it. Just understand your money, your cash flow in and out. Don't leave everything to last minute. Have a really good system in your business. Just have a system like Google Drive, where do all your documents go? Have different accounts where your money flow goes. So I have a different account to where I pay my clients, where my money comes in. Just be a little bit more organised in what you do. It's very difficult because when you're creative and you're a producer, you're usually just working out the business. It's hard to work in the business. You're doing so much, it's hard to really look at the administration. So I thank God I've got a business partner now and we do all that together. But it's something that you really need to because you can get yourself in a bit of a pickle.
Absolutely. And we did speak a bit about intellectual property before, but is there anything, which intellectual property, I mean, it's fundamentally things that
you own.
Yeah.
So intellectual property in a sense of, so for me, when I did my StoryTown Ideas Your Own, so StoryTown Ideas Your Own was a business conference in two halves about how to monetize your ideas and your IP. That could be books, it could be animation, it could be scripts. You could just be any idea, how to protect it, how to monetize it. So we had the Writers Guild there. And then also how to get in the industry with your IP and your ideas. I would say to any writer out there, because I'm not a lawyer, we do have lawyers when we have certain projects. If you can't afford a lawyer, if you're a writer or you're an author, get on the Writers Guild, which is like a union, because it is a minefield actually. And sometimes when I've worked with writers or spoke to the Writers Guild, usually a lot of writers, they're just happy to get picked up, and I don't really look at the contract, and by the time it's too late. And also what's really funny as well with my writing competitions, when people submit their scripts, they don't look at the terms and conditions. And I say, did you read the terms and conditions? They're like, oh, no. I'm like, so you just sent me your script, your idea, and paid me and just didn't look at the terms and conditions. I could just take your script if I wouldn't do that. But, you know, you need to check. People. A lot of creatives don't do this. And this is another reason why I create StoryTown, where we have people talking about IP and how to protect it. Because, again, when you're creative, because you're so busy in the creativity of things, you miss the administration, the IP, the accountancy. So I think if you're creative, in the sense you have ideas, just have a bit of research about how to protect your IP, your copyright.
Absolutely. Long live IP and protecting it.
And yeah, it's always good. It's always good to own something. You know, look at who was that woman that did Harry Potter? What's her name? J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
You know, she owns something. From her ideas, she's created a behemoth, like a mega monster that makes so much money and creates so many jobs for other people as well. Obviously, she's got a bit of a bad reputation, but let's put that aside. But in the sense of what she's done, she's created so many jobs. You know, she's literally created an ecosystem, literally from that one book, from those books. You can go Hogwarts and go with the kids. So that's created jobs, the theme parks. Yeah. So how many jobs that created? That created set design, event staff, producers, and then you got the films, and then you got the CGI, and then you got this, you know.
Got the play on the West End.
You know, so I think StoryTown Idea is your own, the conference, the business conference, which is really about people starting to think like that, about their ideas.
Yeah. I think, you know, the power of owning something that's yours. I think you expressed it really beautifully, like kind of the dignity in that as well is, yeah.
Even though I think the industry is changing a lot, you know, in the sense that, you know, people don't want us to own anything at the moment, but I still really want people to really think about how they have all these ideas in your head. And I always have this saying, the well is never dry. There's always ideas there. You know, there's always problems solved, there's always ideas there. And if you can really still your mind and think about something really wonderful and creative, you can monetize that and master it and turn it into something that has longevity.
100%. And Natalie, you've won a lot of awards. Well, deservedly so. So how did that impact your personal brand, your company's brands as well? I
think, again, when I first started out, a lot of people put me forward for awards I didn't even know in the beginning. And I won quite a few awards. I won Businesswoman of the Year. I was finalist for NatWest Business Awards. And I think it's really good because it gives you that validation. People think, okay, then she's won an award, so she's a serious person, you know, she's a key person that influence in that industry. Everything is sales and storytelling. Always convincing people to do something or buy something or buy into you, especially when you're a producer. And I think winning awards is just part of that journey of people thinking, okay, someone validating you, saying what you're doing is wonderful, what you're doing for the community is wonderful, how you're helping people is wonderful. You're offering a service, and I think it's really important to, even if you don't get nominated by awards by other people, find the awards in your industry and apply for them, and don't be embarrassed. I think that's another thing from America, which I don't care. I'm going to put myself forward. You know, living in New York, you just get out there. I'm like, I'm going to do this. Let's go. And I think that's something, I know people always say I've got a very New York American mentality. But again, just going back to branding and put yourself out there, nominate yourself from those awards. And those awards that I got nominated for have really helped me in my career, because people just think, okay, then because I've been nominated for these awards and I've won these awards, there's a respect there, especially if they're prestige.
Yeah, really powerful. And Natalie, what's next for you, and where can the audience find you?
Okay, next steps. I think we just literally did that 4-day festival, which was StoryTown Ideas Your Own, which had Enter.Stage.Write and Amplified. I don't think I've really explained the format of Enter.Stage.Write or Amplified. So let me just explain that format really, so you can get an understanding, because it's quite vague. So how it works with Enter.Stage.Write is people submit their scripts from all around the UK. They get put in my database, and even if you don't make the final 5 or 10, we still work with the writers or pass their scripts to people, producers or organisations that probably would want it. Or if there's a really good writer but their script's not right for the night, we just send that writer to someone else that might hire them. So a lot of our writers have been hired in doctors. But anyway, say if you've just come for a night out. So how Enter.Stage.Write starts is a red carpet. You go there, you network, you have your pitch on the red carpet. It's very glamorous. Then you go into the theatre. Then you have a compere that comes in and says, welcome to Enter.Stage.Write, where you help choose the best winning script. And what happens, you have all the broadcast in the middle of the audience, which is like X Factor. And then you have the audience day, which is usually 300 people. And then you have the plays, which are 10 minutes longer. You can only have 2-3 people in them, and they're performed back to back. And that's usually because of 50 minutes. And then in the interval, you, the audience, go out and vote for your favourite script. And then the broadcast executives go out and vote for their favourite script. And then when you come in, it's the award ceremony where the writer wins thousands of pounds and then he gets his award. And then we might have a little bit of another singing act in there. But that's how the event works. And what's really good is that the community see short scripts and it's just fun and it's like a really exciting event and people get to vote and participate. Anyway, the question. So my next thing now really and truly is I might bring these events to London. I'm definitely going to do the StoryTown conference next year because we had a lot of interest from BBC and BFI and various organisations that want to work with us. But my goal really is to maybe get someone else to organise the Enter.Stage.Write franchise and bring it to London. But I want to now, I feel like I've served so many writers, I've served so many people, I've served my community. I want to be a bit selfish. I want to start focusing on TV shows, films, and the stories that I want to tell. So my next steps really is to really focus on my slate. And what I mean by slate, my films and my documentaries that I have in development within my company.
Amazing. That sounds...
and I might do a bit of acting, I don't know. I might do the odd commercial for the actor. I'm a trained actor, but that's what I really want to do next. And I definitely want to bring Enter.Stage.Write and to London.
Exciting. I can't wait for that one. And do you have any social media handles that you want to share?
Yeah, you can go to Instagram, Nat Yesufu.
How do you spell that?
Nata, Nat, and then Yesufu, Yesufu. Yesufu. And there's not many Nat Yesufu, so you'll be easy to find me. And on X, it's Sweetpea, SWITTP. But if you Google Natalie Yesufu Edwards, you'll see my handles.
Brilliant, brilliant. Natalie, thank you so much. You've been such a lovely guest. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Road of Stars podcast and our dynamic guests. I hope you are inspired for your own creative journey. Keep connecting, keep creating.